Uh, this one's going to be interesting. You've got 10, maybe 15 minutes, however long it took you to go to the store and walk back to the town square before Wrath kicks off. You've got maybe 20 seconds of Wrath talking with everyone watching her before, let's call it, Witch Factor kicks in. I think it's 20 seconds. She's probably already there at the tower. You already know where she probably is, because she already mentioned that she was talking to those two kids, and one volunteered to sacrifice themselves for the other. So Wrath is probably there. There's probably half a dozen fingers already there. So you know the location of Wrath. You know where Wrath's going to be. You know your time window. You're with Emilia, and starts with C. Forgot her name. Which probably means her knight is nearby. I don't see her running around by herself without the knight, at the very least, shadowing her somewhere. You don't know where everyone else is. That's the real thing. You've got them in the city. Priscilla, thank you. Why did I think it was Carmilla or something? I don't know. You've got a lot of people in the city. You just don't know where they are. There's a lot of fighters in the city, but you don't know where they are. That's the problem. And your decision, and basically everything that comes into play, is what's the next move? What's the best thing to do? Do you... Like, how do you, as quickly and concisely as possible, get the people around you to assist you in helping find where all the other people are? Because you've got Reinhard, you've got Wilhelm, you've got all the knights, you've got God knows who else is around. How can you get them in time and then get them to the town square before Wrath kicks off? Because she'll kick off whether or not you're there. It doesn't matter. She'll kick off either way. And get them there. And then hopefully they don't get affected by Wrath's Witch Factor, which I doubt will happen because I think it takes around 15-20 seconds of her talking with directional eyesight to her. Because if it didn't require directional eyesight, or at the very least directly hearing her voice, she wouldn't need to do it in person. She would do it over the speaker. The fact she's not doing it over the speaker means you either need to be in eyesight range or hearing range. So, as long as you don't listen to her for maybe 10, 15, maybe 20 seconds, you shouldn't fall under whatever the hell she's using, whether it be Witch Factor or spell or whatever the fuck. So, you gotta figure out now, and by the way, you've just reset, right? You've just reset, and you're in shock. So one, you have to process what just happened. 2, you have to get your shit together. 3, you have to, on the spot, formulate a plan by deductive reasoning of everything that just happened that I just talked about as quickly as possible, which is why I was saying invest some time in strategic thinking, and then figure out what the next best move is. Because, you know, you want to minimize your deaths because now you apparently value your life, but I don't think you're getting away with this one with 0 deaths. I don't think you're getting a perfect outcome in one go. It's possible if all your stars align and you just so happen to bump into Reinhard around the corner, who just so happens to be with Wilhelm, who just so happened to be accompanied by knights, and Julius is there, and everyone else is there, and the whole party is there, and they just so happen to come with you to the town square, no questions asked. But I don't see that happening. So, yeah. I do know one thing for certain, though. The absolute worst thing you could possibly do in this situation is just make a run for it to the town square, try to climb up the tower by yourself, and solo Wrath. That is the quickest way to get yourself killed. So as long as he doesn't do that, it should be okay. Because I don't think you're going to get a perfect outcome the first try. Unless you're unbelievably lucky and you somehow bump into the right people and you're somehow able to articulate the dire situation without issue, which I think is incredibly unlikely. So, yeah, that's my assessment of the situation. Hopefully you put some eggs in the deductive reasoning and strategy basket. We'll find out. And let's just hope you can get your shit together quicker rather than later, because clock's ticking and you got 10, maybe 15 minutes if you're lucky. So let's go. Have you seen that? Has anyone watched that TV show called 24? Where you've got that clock that's ticking in every episode and it's just ticking, tick, tick, tick. That's happening right now. So you're up, boy. Okay. So he's not going to utilize any of the people there to help him round up the other people. Okay. So you're going to do everything yourself. So what's your next step? Who are you going to run to? Who are you going to run to? I'm going to put my money on Reinhard. Where is he? Why is Emilia sitting on the tower? Why is there a dragon? If that crystal cracking at the beginning of the opening is Puck's crystal and anyone does anything to Puck, I swear to God, I'ma blame Subaru. That's all I'm saying. If anyone touches Puck's crystal, I'm blaming Subaru. Let's see how this goes. I have a feeling he's gonna die in a very stupid way. But anyway, let's go. Apparently I'm a very mean person, but okay, fine. Don't utilize any of the people that you have at your disposal. Don't ask Priscilla for help. Don't ask anyone for help. Don't ask if anyone's seen Reinhard or knows where Reinhard is. And by no chance, don't ask anyone to make a commotion and get people's attention. I don't know. Fine, whatever. Let's see how you go. Let's go. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be practical and pragmatic. Let's see how this plays out. Please tell me this is not the tower. Please tell me you didn't do what I just said would be the stupidest thing to do. Please tell me you didn't go straight to the tower by yourself. Why is there a spiraling stack? Oh my god, he went straight to the... Alright, I'm mentally preparing myself for this. Wrath. Sadism. It's not about killing. It's about suffering. How do you make someone suffer? You prolong the pain. What's part of the process? Not only killing them, but making them realize that they're going to die. And better yet, making them do it themselves. Okay, firstly, you know where Wrath is gonna be. Secondly, probably gonna have fingers. So... There's a lot of people in this town you can rely on. Uh-huh. Says Subaru. Wait, are they already under control of Wrath? So it has nothing to do with audio or eyesight, it's proximity. It's a passive area on effect. It's Wrath's proximity. Well, that's 10 times worse. You see, I'm an asshole, but do you think you could have possibly handled this a little bit better? Is there anything different you could have done to maybe avoid this outcome? Anything at all? Nope. You value your life. Yes, clearly. You value it so much you throw it away. And I'm the asshole. Okay. I'm okay with the killing, but can we not do the eyeball licking? That's just weird. How the fuck am I supposed to read things from two people at the same time? Okay. Kuma is an asshole because he says you should have invested some of your time during the year off that you had to maybe play chess or think things through. Okay, Subaru, what's something that you can do to avoid the situation of running to where you know the enemy is and getting killed by the enemy? Think, Subaru, think. Trust me, I feel sick of your incompetence, but here we are. No shit! Okay. It took him a death, but he's getting there slowly. He's starting to think. Okay, he's thinking. He realized that there's one person he can potentially utilize to solve this problem. He knows what this guy is because he was part of the ritual before, and he's trying to get him to get in contact with Reinhard. So he's at the very least utilizing one individual. Emilia, Beatrice, and Priscilla are probably out of play because he probably did the same thing. But at the very least, he's trying something different. Let's see how many times he dies before he eventually succeeds. He doesn't know who that is. Oh, he knows who that is. Okay, you're gonna get a Reinhard. Cool. Good shit. Sucks for you, you ran out of time. And it's too late. You'll be lucky if Reinhardt makes it on time, identifies the fact that she's a archbishop, and attacks her head on. That is probably the best outcome you have, because that at the very least might stop her from finishing whatever the F she's doing. And then you're probably just going to have to contend with whatever fingers and other people she has nearby, but you'll at the very least take the archbishop out of play. Alright, 21 seconds. I said 20. Close enough. Des. No! Where's the Des? Come on. I want one of those hoodies. Can someone tell me where I can buy one of those hoodies? Those hoodies are awesome. I want one. Finally! Wait, so he's basically able to dispel Archbishop level magic by touching people. This guy's more broken than I thought. Okay, Subaru, please tell me you at least verified that there's no one else in this tower. Yeah, something is wrong. Like, all the people are somehow connected to someone, and if they die, they die. Come on, Subaru. Deductive reasoning here, boy. You've died twice already. It looks like Subaru put all his points in dexterity. He's good at running and jumping, but not so good at thinking. Okay, Subaru, third time's the charm. And Kuma is the asshole for saying Subaru is wasting his life training his mind. No, Reinhard could do it. The problem is that... This is what I was complaining about with his training in episode 1. It's purely acrobatic. Wait, so now he's bringing Betty with him. It's funny because Priscilla is figuring out that something is going on. He's acting strangely. She's picking up on it. She's got a brain. Subaru, unfortunately, doesn't have a brain. He's figured out a winning solution to the problem. The only problem is Reinhard can't finish her off because everyone is under hypnosis. The quick solution, if he was able to deduce the situation, would be to pin the Archbishop down, break her hold over people, and then finish her off. But the problem is he doesn't seem to have realized yet that that's what happened. It wasn't the fact that Reinhard couldn't finish off the Archbishop. It was just that the way he finished her off was in the wrong order. But he hasn't figured that out yet for some reason. So now he's going a different route by bringing Betty. So instead of running to get Reinhard, he's now getting Betty. But what the hell is Betty supposed to do? Like, you know what I mean? Reinhard can already break people out of that trance. What's Betty supposed to do? Like, Betty's a glass cannon. She takes one hit and she's out. This is just going to be another death now. And then he's going to revert back to his original plan using Reinhard. Damn it, Subaru! Okay, he's asking someone else for their opinion. Finally. Okay, he's doing something. Get another person's opinion. Soul Link. You're soul linked. Come on, man. You play anime games. Why are you walking and not running? Wait, don't tell me that you're going to try to defeat Wrath with just Betty. Oh, for fuck's sake. And Emilia's been tailing him the entire time, but he hasn't picked up on the fact that Emilia's been tailing him the entire time. So not only does he have no brain power, but he also has absolutely no awareness. And I'm the asshole for saying that doing acrobatics for a year is a waste of time if you don't work on your other skills. Let's see how this plays out. Told you Priscilla's onto it. I still don't see why they couldn't have still called Reinhard to deal with Wrath. Just don't finish her off and utilize Betty's ability in order to dispel the area of effect. Both could have come in handy. I mean, if you just ask Reinhard, don't finish her off, you know how that fight's gonna end. But unfortunately, he's being clouded by emotion. His energy is trying to protect Emilia rather than logically assessing the situation. He's acting on impulse, not logic. Impulse, I need to save the little boy, runs to the tower. The logical solution would have been to think about the situation and figure out how to save the kid, not just run to the kid. His emotion, I don't want to endanger Emilia, so I'm not even going to consider putting her into play. Logic would have been to, at the very least, assess the situation and see how best to utilize Emilia. But he doesn't even consider that because his impulse is to protect her from harm by having her as far away as possible from the situation. Like, that's the big hurdle you gotta get over. You can't be emotional in these situations. You have to be as rational as possible. And that's something that unfortunately takes a fuck ton of experience. And I don't know, jumping an obstacle course for a year isn't going to do anything. Reinhard steals all the mana, but don't forget he could also dispel by touch. That's the thing. So oh god. Well, you're not wrong on making the first move, but you really shouldn't let your guard down. Wasn't the kid also in the tower? Why are you turning your back to the tower? Well, then she's still alive, isn't she? Well, at least you figured that out. Okay, I am putting my money that this is Fortuna. I'm putting my money on Fortuna. Yep, I'm putting my money on Fortuna. She's talking about Betelgeuse. Okay, where the hell did Emilia learn how to use multiple melee weapons? She's done zero training! You also have silver hair. Are you saying Betelgeuse was a predator? Oh, god damn it, Subaru. Watch, this timeline is not going to reset beyond this point. 79th? Why not 69th? Why would you marry them? Why not just keep them as concubines? That's what the emperors used to do. Greed my ass. Marriage isn't ownership, unfortunately. If I see Subaru try to engage greed in the anime, I'm just gonna facepalm. If this loop gets screwed, and this is the outcome, Emilia just gets taken, I... Christ. 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 Alright. Assassin's writing something, but you do know I can't scroll up, right? Subaru needs a restart of the loop. Yeah, Subaru. You value your lives so much that you need to off yourself again. Because clearly, your assessment of the situation was not a good one. I don't think Subaru should try to engage any of the archbishops. I think that is suicidal just from the jump. It's not going to happen. You're not going to beat an archbishop. Like, don't do it. Reinhard is not immune to authority for an infinite amount of time. Sad that they cut out him saying that. But he's able to take her out. You know the outcome of Reinhard fighting her. And it would be that she gets taken out. The real question then becomes whether or not Reinhard has enough time to dispel what's happening to the other people. Or is it possible to remove the people from there? Carry them away, do something, you know what I mean? Or is it possible for Reinhard to, I don't know, yeet her out of the place? Is it a proximity spell? Like, we don't actually know what the area of effect is. Clearly, I was wrong that it requires eyesight, and clearly I was wrong that it requires you to be able to hear her. It seems to be presence. So within a certain proximity, safe to assume the closer you are, the less time it takes for it to take effect. Because it took like 20 seconds when she was on top of the tower. It took seconds when she was behind Subaru. So it's safe to assume that the closer you are to the source, the quicker you fall under its effect. He needs to kill her, otherwise the authority will control him too. What if the only choice left is to sacrifice this? Or some of them so Reinhard can kill her? Subaru is actually one of the strongest characters in Re Zero, but not in the physical way. You mean the ability to redo a situation an infinite amount of times until you get the correct outcome is powerful? It is incredibly powerful. But what would be even more powerful is if you made the most out of every single reset. That would make you a lot more powerful. I have a theory about Sirius wrath. About what you said. Can I share it? Well, there's several things. 1, the eye. 2, the silver hair. 3, the fact that she's now talking about Emilia stealing someone from her. That means she, at the very least, knew Emilia. And there would only be a handful of people that fit that description in Emilia's past from what we know. And the most likely, logically speaking, would be Fortuna and Betelgeuse. I don't think there's anyone else that she could be talking about, because Emilia was basically holed up in Fortuna's house for the most time. And Fortuna didn't even want her to leave the house until she snuck out. So, I mean, they're pretty much suggesting at this point that it is Fortuna. Fun fact about Reinhard, without his ability to world giving him all mana around him, he would have the smallest amount of mana amongst the cast of characters. Well, if you're able to take mana away from people against spellcasters, you're basically bleeding them dry of their energy, so you'll be able to overpower them eventually. Then comes down the question of, okay, if it's a purely physical person, how do you stack up against them? And I think in that case, Reinhard probably aces them in the physical aspect, because he's like Sword Saint or something. So by default, he's probably the strongest physical fighter out there. So, you know. I also think Subaru is smart in a lot of ways, but he's very rash. How does that statement not contradict itself? Being hasty and being intelligent are at odds with each other. intelligent people don't rush into decisions emotionally. Isn't that a bit of a contradiction? Can you share a theory about how the power works? By all means. So anime did Subaru dirty. In the novel, Subaru actually threw Sirius down the tower using his whip and tried to help Luzbel before she came back and gets hung in the anime. That would be slightly better than what he did. Because what he did in this one is he just charged up to the tower, went straight to the kid, and got ambushed. And then he got hung. Which, let's be honest, worst decision to make. You're going to where you know the Archbishop is going to be. You're not looking out for the Archbishop. Archbishop killed you. That's a shortcut to dying. Subaru 2 expect to be resistant to authority like with Sloth. Why would he expect to be resistant to her authority if he already died to it the first time? Wouldn't that, from the beginning, make him worried about falling under the effect again? I'm a little confused. That's the thing. That's the thing. With Geese, you can't see the hand the first time. I understand what you're trying to say, but what I'm asking is, if the first time he saw her, he fell under the effect and he died to it, why would he think that he's resistant to it if he has already died to it? Why would he think that? I think that to be affected by Sirius's power, you need to have eye contact with either her or someone she controls. Subaru got controlled very fast on top of the tower because he had close eye contact, and Sirius controlled them in episode 1. Sirius showed Luzbel to everyone, so everyone connected with him too. When Reinhard killed Sirius, she forced everyone to look at her eyes, so they connected to her. That's my theory. Weren't they all connected to her when the fight with Reinhardt started? Because they started circling around Subaru and Betty. And Subaru and Betty then flew up to the tower to grab the kid. So they were already connected. Like, the effect had already taken place at the beginning of the fight. That was the whole issue. Everyone had already fallen under it, and Subaru and the other guy basically got the spell broken on them when Reinhardt touched them. So, like, that's the thing. But the effect already took effect. Like, it was already in play. Well, I mean, he's not always rash. It just seems whenever he first encounters a death, he usually is. But, I mean, he comes up with pretty good plans after. I think he just tried to see what he could do on his own first. That's a problem, because the whole argument that everyone is saying is that he's trying to reduce the number of times he's going to die because he values his life more and more. That is at odds with what you're saying, that he wants to try out what he can do by himself, because doing that will result in him dying, which is the exact opposite of trying to not die. See what I'm saying? They were connected to her, but in episode 1 were connected to Luzbel. Possible. Possible. There is one way to test it. There is one way to test it. Stab one of the people that's affected and see whether or not it affects Wrath. Because we don't know if it's a two-way street. We don't know if it's a two-way street. But it could make sense, because in episode 1, Wrath probably didn't die from the effect. So everyone got under its effect. She's showing the kid. The kid falls under the effect. And then she connects them all together to the kid, throws the kid, bam. In the case of the fight with Reinhardt, everyone's under the effect. They're not under the effect connected to the kid, So they're still connected to her. So initially, it looks like they're connected to her. And when, in the second death, Wrath threw Subaru, and he hung, the kid also was choked. So the kid was connected to Subaru. So I think what you're saying does make sense, because in the second death, Wrath's eyes weren't red. And I think in the final one, where she died against Reinhard, her eyes were red. That's going to be the big one. No, her eyes weren't red. So her eyes don't need to be red. Everyone else's eyes are red. So red is people under her effect. Her eyes don't actually change color. Okay. That could logically make sense, linking it to someone. And then the assumption would be, if she doesn't link it to someone, when they're under its effect, does that mean they are connected to her? Because at this point, the kid's eyes aren't colored. His eyes only get colored at this point. Subaru's red. He's red. She's not. Subaru's dying. He's also choking. See? So he's choking. Kid's choking. So they're connected. And Sirius just turns on and off whether or not she's connected, I guess. Maybe. I mean, that's one way to think about it. So she can choose who the anchor point is. That's the real question. It's possible that's how it works, that one person is an anchor point. Another possibility is that everyone connected is connected, which means whatever damage any one of them sustain, all of them sustain. That's what I meant by testing the theory of stabbing one of the people that's just sitting in the plaza. If everyone else sustains the damage, you actually know how the ability works. I think that is a very likely thing. The ability to anchor it would be a level above that, but simply having them all connected to each other would sort of be like the base ability, which would make the most sense. But really, what would you do with Reinhard? Well, if in the first loop, and like I said at the beginning, the first thing is like trying to find where Reinhard is. And Subaru managed to get Reinhard there in the first loop. Assuming we had the same result in the first loop, and Reinhard killing Wrath ended up killing me and everyone else, my second attempt would be getting Reinhard there, but asking him not to finish her off until he at the very least touches everyone to break their spell. If for whatever reason I reset again after asking Reinhard to do that, safe to assume that Reinhard failed, or we ended up getting killed anyway, so that doesn't work. So my second attempt, after the first one where Reinhard fights her, because to be fair, Reinhard gets there, he starts fighting her too late, right? The second attempt would be that, trying to get Reinhard to kill her, but first to dispel her ability. If that doesn't work, figure out plan 3. Plan 3 of asking Betty was actually a good plan, because Betty is a magic user that has spent God knows how long in the library reading tomes and books and all these other things. Her understanding of magic is probably through the frickin' roof. So that would have been my third thing, if the Reinhard solution didn't work. So question mark, whether or not Reinhard would be able to dispel it on everyone before killing Wrath. Question mark, we don't know. We don't know the time limit, we don't know how long it takes it, like we don't know. So that would be the thing. Asking Betty, probably good choice. But another thing is, I wouldn't automatically not involve the other people. Yes, he grabbed Betty, he grabbed one person. But I would still, at the very least, try to see if it's possible to get other people in on this. Priscilla's knight, perhaps. You know? Like, she's just standing there, right? Okay, Priscilla's a little bit of a bitch. But what if you asked her, can you get your knight here? There's going to be an archbishop here. Like, what the fuck? She might believe you, she might not. There's a possibility, right? not having Emilia in play simply because you want to protect her, again, you're being emotional, right? You're trying to protect her, but you don't even know what she's capable of. And in the end, that could actually end up being your downfall, because Emilia could end up being isolated by herself, and while she's isolated, she gets kidnapped like Princess Peach anyway. So, yeah. But, again, asking Betty, good choice. You know, Sirius, her other eye is covered in bandages. Maybe that red or where her true power lies. Maybe, considering some info we got. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? By the way, it seems Sirius didn't use her authority in the last loop. With Emilia there, she didn't use it and focused on Emilia. Well, she was emotional against Emilia. That's why I think it's Fortuna. And the things she was saying would make sense if the person that she's talking about being stolen from her is Betelgeuse. Let's not forget that what happened to Betelgeuse was his thoughts and his psyche was completely twisted. And Fortuna, who effectively sacrificed herself for Emilia, the way to twist that would pretty much be to hate Emilia. Like, what's more twisted than sacrificing yourself for Emilia? Hating Emilia. Why would Fortuna hate Emilia? If Emilia is evil and she seduces men and tries to steal Betelgeuse and do all these other terrible things, like, that would logically make sense. You know what I mean? So that's why I think Wrath is Fortuna. There's so many strong reasons why it makes logical sense. The loop is also within 5 minutes. If it's really short like that, you should be running like a motherfucker. You should be running like a motherfucker. You should be sprinting. I mean, if you spent a year sprinting, you should be able to sprint for 5 minutes. I'm a fat bastard and I can run for 8. If you're Subaru that's been doing acrobatics for a year, you can run for 5 minutes. I think she hates Emilia because she seems like Satella and Betelgeuse loves Satella, and she seems like the cheated wife. That's possible. That's very possible. That's a very good interpretation. Betelgeuse was in love with Satella, and so she's like, I hate Satella. That is actually a very good one. I like that. That's actually very good. That's actually very good. Someone was saying something about Emilia's melee weapons. I'm just trying to scroll up really quickly. I don't actually see it. I'm struggling to find it. Whoever posted that, if you could repost it, I'd appreciate it. Because someone posted something about Emilia and her melee weapons. I can't find it, unfortunately. Wait, so about Emilia's melee weapons, Subaru helped her with creating weapons in the time skip. Okay. Subaru taught Emilia to make ice weapons and called it Ice Brand Arts. Her proficiency with them seems pretty good. Her proficiency seems pretty good. She's handling 3 different weapons fairly well within a year. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. She used like 7 weapons. I only saw 3. I saw the sword, the double blades, and the spear. So I don't know. Maybe she'll use a few more. I stand by my original comment that working on your analytical, deductive reasoning and strategic thinking would have helped a lot during the year. Being able to think quickly, break down the situation, analyze the situation, figure out different moves, learning how to detach yourself from emotional impulse would be an asset in situations like this. I stand by that. I firmly believe that. I think a lot of deaths can be avoided if you can just ground yourself a little bit more, try to take emotion out of it, and don't act on impulse. I think acting on impulse, particularly that first death, could have been avoided. Could have been avoided. His first instinct was to run to the tower and try to save the kid. That was a mistake. That was the worst possible decision he could have made. The second death, attempting to get Reinhard, that would have probably been my first. I think that is the strongest logical decision given the information he could have possibly made. Try to get the strongest person on the board to your side. That resulting in a death, wouldn't blame it on him. Potentially trying to figure out how to utilize that is an option. Like I said, question mark whether or not he's able to dispel Wrath's effect on people before he kills her. The emotional impulse to completely neglect Emilia from the situation simply because he's Emilia is a mistake, because it's an emotional decision rather than a rational one. Even if you don't want her on the battlefield, you could at the very least try to get her to get other people to your side. There's a lot of resources in the city that you can utilize. Unfortunately, just not having people in play is a waste of opportunities. You got Priscilla, you got Emilia there. Could have done something with them. Utilized Betty, that's good. You fucked up twice. You're asking someone for help because they might know how to deal with the situation. That's a good call. Walking very slowly with them instead of picking her up and running, a little bit like this, but okay. It is what it is. It is what it is. But I still stand by the decision. Working on your mind is just as important as working on your body. You can be the quickest, you can be the strongest. If you're not smart, you can still lose. You can still lose. That's the thing. And we saw that with Emilia fighting Wrath. Wrath just pulled up that kid. An experienced fighter would have been able to hit Wrath without hitting the kid. But emotion threw Emilia off. Emotion is dangerous. Emotion in a battle is incredibly dangerous. You don't need it clouding your judgment. It doesn't help you in any way, shape, or form. Whether it's fear, whether it's anger, none of that helps you. You don't need that in a fight. You don't need any emotion at all. That's the problem. She used sword, twin sword, halberd, hammer, nicicles, knuckles, and trident in that order against Sirius in that fight. I somehow must have missed 4 weapons. 4 weapons. But it is what it is. I'll agree, under pressure he is pretty dumb. That's exactly what I was saying that he needed to work on during that year. That's the thing. That's the thing. When the adrenaline hits, your brain leaves the building. You're not going to be able to think clearly when the adrenaline hits. Your instincts will kick in. And if you don't work on your instincts during peacetime, in wartime, they won't be there for you. That's a fact. That is a fact. Don't believe me? Go get into a street fight. Do it. I challenge you. Go get into a street fight. You might be the quickest with your brain, but as soon as that adrenaline hits, your plan goes out the window. I'm telling you now. Go get into a street fight. See how it goes. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. When adrenaline hits, you can't think. It's impossible. Try. Fucking try. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Alright, let's take a break and watch the Dr. Stone movie. Prove me wrong. I'd love it if you can prove me wrong. But when the adrenaline hits, brains out the window. I just mean he's extremely smart when he has learnt what's going on fully. That's not intelligence. That's the process of elimination. The measure of intelligence isn't about how well you can figure out the situation when you know everything. The measure of intelligence is how quickly you can figure out the situation when you don't know anything. That's the measure of intelligence. I don't care that you could figure out how to solve the math problem when you know the answer and you know the steps to do it. I want to know whether or not you can solve the math problem when you don't have the solution. The deductive reasoning is what helps you. Yeah, some people can't even do anything when they know. Well, I got nothing for that one. I got nothing for that one. If the answer and the steps are in front of you and you still don't know what's going on, I got nothing. That's what a dumb person is. What you're describing... I'm trying to say something without getting cancelled. Give me a minute. I need to find a phrase for it. What you're describing is someone that legally doesn't have the intellectual capacity to make decisions. What you're describing is not in the realm of average people at all. It is a neurological or intellectually challenged person. Subaru is not that. He can form sentences and he can operate. He is not neurologically or intellectually challenged. That is something completely different. That is the brain not being formed and doesn't function as it should. That's different from making stupid decisions because you're emotional. That is completely different. So, I said that in a very nice clinical way so I don't get cancelled. But yeah, that's what you were describing. That's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. Alright, quick little break and we watch some Dr. Stone. I'm still going to be an asshole according to people online, but what can you do? What can you do? What can you do?
Hey, did I hand you a shrinking potion by accident? I could have sworn that was the gender swapping one.
Don't be hating. She's fun size, that's all. She doesn't even have to get on her knees to blow.
You want to add anything to that conversation?
Nope, I'm good. In fact, I think your new size makes you an even more formidable and stealthy ninja.